All right, eyes on me, boys and girls. I got something very important to tell you, and you're going to love hearing this. So listen very carefully. I'm about to explain the jobs that we're going to have in our classroom this year, and tomorrow you get to pick. So pay very close attention to the jobs. Now, the first 4 jobs happen first thing in the morning before anybody even comes to the classroom. So you got to make sure that you're here on time. So the first job you might be able to be is the door nurse. Now, the door nurse is going to take everybody's temperature before they even walk into classroom. And the door nurse has to work very closely with the room bouncer, because the door nurse tells the room bouncer what the temperatures are. And then the room bouncer, if it's 98.5 or lower, says, welcome, come on in. And if it's a 98.6 or higher, they say, bye, Felicia. You might have to coronas, go to the office. So you might want to be one of these 2 jobs. Now, the next job, right after they get back past the room bouncer, is the taste checker. This person's going to have a little shaker, and everybody's got to stick their tongue out and do this, and they're going to shake something on your tongue, and you got to guess if it's salt or sugar based on your taste. If you get it wrong because you can't taste nothing, boom, you got to go to the office. You might have the coronas, so you might want to be the taste checker this year. You could also be outside in the hallway early, the CVS czar. This person's going to have this checklist, and they're going to ask you, did your mama give you Advil or Motrin or Tylenol this morning to be able to get you to be at school for 4 hours with no temperature? And if you say yes, they're going to check that box and send you to the office, go on home. So you might be able to be the CVS czar too. Now, this one's very important. Once everybody gets in the classroom, this is the cough counter. And they pay very close attention. When someone coughs, they get out a sheet and they mark a 1. And then they pay attention to that person. And they mark it off every time that person coughs. And when they get to the 4th cough, bye, that person has to send the person to office. So you might be the cough counter this year. Now, here's another one you're going to love. This is the Durstenson detective. That person's going to have 2 yardsticks taped together. You got to walk around and make sure everybody is 6 feet apart. So you might be the Dursten's detective this school year. And here's one that's going to be really fun too. This is the mask enforcer. See, everybody's wearing their masks. Look around except for me as I'm talking. The mask enforcer is going to pay attention to that, and you're going to have little rubber bands. And if someone takes off their mask, you're going boom, you're going to pop them with a rubber band. Isn't that going to be fun? You might be able to be the mask enforcer this year. Then we got the 20-second Beyonce. This person stands at the sink when we're washing our hands, and they sing a Beyonce song for 20 seconds. All the single ladies, put your hands up. And they sing for 20 seconds, running their finger along here, and that way everybody knows to wash their hands for 20 seconds. You might be the 20-second Beyonce. There's also going to be a plexiglass polisher. You got to clean all these plexiglasses on our desks that are stopping us like the sneeze guards. You could be that job. This is very important. This is the keeper of the map. You're going to have a map of the hot spots. And when we have a visitor, somebody's grandma or somebody reading to the classroom, you got to ask them where they're coming from. And if they're in a hot spot, boom, you say, sorry, can't come in. And then everybody this year is going to be a contact tracer. You're going to have a sheet like this, and you got to write down everybody's name this year that you come in contact with every single day. So we got some great jobs to get us through this school year. You think about what you want and tell me tomorrow.
Hilarious. Hello and welcome. My name is Adria Fox, and I'm the It Girl. And thank you for tuning in to Got School. This forum was created for parents like you and me. Listen, I get it. We've got school, and if you're like me, you might be a little nervous. So we created this forum to bring in our best educational resources, 40 plus years of experience. We have Dr. Shirley Peterson with us. We'll also meet memory experts who are in the Guinness Book of World Records, who have formulated programs just for students who have ADHD, and a variety of learning challenges, and they can help us with our memory this year. We also have a person who's running for office for our school board who is really concerned about what's going on with distance learning this year, and a variety of other awesome parents who have actually homeschooled. So I've never homeschooled, so I wanted to bring the best resources possible. So my friend Stephen Groce and I, we've been talking about this back and forth for a few weeks now, and we said, hey, if we're having questions, you might have questions too. So I want to bring to the stage my colleague and friend, Steph Groce. He's a father of 3 like I am. He's also an entrepreneur. He owns a tech company. And most recently, he has an educational platform, which he'll be sharing with you later. Welcome, Steph.
Hey, thanks, Adria. Appreciate it. It was a great, humbling welcome. I appreciate the invite.
Oh, yeah. Steph, what do we have in store for the listeners and viewers today?
Well, the thing about Got School, it's really about its name, Got School. This platform that we're putting together full of resources will give parents and teachers and education advocates resources and direct links to find the best path and create the best path forward for distance learning, homeschooling, supplementing current curriculum and distance learning for school districts. It's just going to be packed with everything over the course of the series. Thank you.
You're what we need this. I mean, I just got like the butterflies for the first time because I haven't had butterflies since my youngest daughter started elementary school. So I got butterflies. This is going to be an interesting experience, but we are up for the challenge. So I just want everyone to know that this is your community. We are actually creating the community in real time with you. So we will formulate these resources. You'll have access to the resources and people that'll be here live with you throughout the session. We're going to run this all the way to the end of September. And Steph, go ahead and introduce the guest.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Again, the handoff. Today, we have 3 exciting guests, but I have the privilege to start out with the first 2. Dr. Lawana Richmond, who's running for San Diego Unified School District in District E, brings not only a wealth of knowledge, but is really, truly an asset, not only to the community, but to the school potential position on the school board. Her lens that she looks through is not only at the block by block, student by student, parent by parent level, but that 40,000-foot fiduciary responsibility that the school district actually desperately needs. Then we have Allison Oley. Allison and I have known each other for about 10 years now. She is somebody that is valued and trusted. She is a well of knowledge and is truly a maestro, as I would say, in education. So with that, what we're going to be doing today is considering 3 important questions that Dr. Richmond and Allison Oley will be answering today. And it's really to give our viewers and listeners an opportunity to get some of those questions that they're sitting there wondering, how do I solve this? How do I connect with my child? How do I prepare my child for the upcoming school year? And so I welcome Allison and Dr. Richmond to our screen here and present you to the world, to our international community, in fact. And I'm going to hit you right off the bat.
Okay.
So what I would like to do is give you each about 2 minutes to introduce yourselves before we go right into those questions. So Dr. Lawana Richmond, please go.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lawana Richman. I'm a candidate for San Diego Unified School Board. I grew up in San Diego. I was born in the Midwest, and I entered the San Diego Unified School District as a GATE seminar student. And I've actually had a pretty good experience personally. Of course, that was before Prop 13 when schools had way more resources to work with. I experienced some cases, ended up kind of navigating life, and was a single mom, and now I am actually an organizational development manager at UC San Diego, where I've been working for the past 15 years, doing everything from financial accounting and reporting to business systems analysis and development before transitioning into organizational development after I completed my doctorate in education and educational leadership. And okay, I'll stop.
No, that's great. Organizational leadership is definitely something that we need at every school district at every level. And speaking of organizational leadership, we have with us Allison Oley, who is at the pinnacle of not only her career, but what she's been able to establish and leave behind. Allison.
Good evening, and thanks for including me this evening. I'm excited to share perspective and learn from Dr. Richmond as well. So this is a real thrill. My name is Allison Oley. I am a 20 plus year educator. I started out as an elementary and middle school teacher in the South Bronx in New York City. And then I founded a charter school in West Oakland, California. And most recently, for the last 12 years or so, have been working in the charter school world here in San Diego. I am currently working as a consultant, as an independent consultant. But prior to that, I was the executive director for Kipp San Diego. Kipp is a charter school that serves primarily Title I students who are going to go on to be the first in their families to go to college. I'm also a mom of two. I have a son who's about to start high school, and my daughter is about to start 5th grade. And last year we spent some time homeschooling while we traveled around Mexico for a while. And then we came back to the US just in time to do more homeschooling because of COVID. So it's been an interesting experience as a mother and also as an educator. And my recent work as an independent consultant has led to me supporting different organizations as they make this transition into the online space as a result of COVID, really paying attention to the social emotional development and skills of our students during this unusual time.
Absolutely. And thank you for your work and just your consulting side of it, being able to contribute a different lens to organizations that are looking for a path forward, and parents and teachers, more importantly. So I thank you very much for that. Both of you, I'm honored not only to be part of the inaugural kickoff of our Got School series, but to be joined by both of you here tonight. I'm super excited. So let's get started. Let's jump right into some of those questions. Questions 1, what will having more control over my child's education really look like? And I will start with Dr. Richmond. Dr. Richmond, we're unable to hear you.
There you go. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
So it's really about being more engaged in the direct process and having more accountability, building that with your child and kind of being like their concierge. It really depends on what path you choose, but with distance learning, a lot of people get confused and think it's like homeschooling where you actually do some curriculum development as well. Really, with distance learning, it's about how you guide your child through the consumption of and utilization of learning resources that are provided for them. I think the most important thing is, for many parents, this will be the very first time they actually get to see how their children engages in learning. Quite often, parents get to hear about what happened or get to see outcomes, but they don't necessarily get to see how the sausage is made.
Obviously, I love that terminology, how the sausage is made, because it gets made it gets made in unique ways for sure. Allison.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Dr. Richmond was saying about, really it's different than homeschool for sure. The role of parents during distance learning is to support your student in, or support your child in learning the material and content that has been laid out by the teacher. But I will say this, especially during this very unusual time, if your child is struggling to stay focused or to get the work done or to do all of the things that the teacher is asking them to do, as a parent, you are in a really unique position to step back a little bit, pay close attention to what the real objectives are, and really support your child in learning in this very unusual time. So things are up in the air right now with a lot of school districts. Some people are talking about multiple hours of screen time for little children, or whatever the case will be. And it will evolve and change, I'm sure, over the next few weeks and months. But as a parent, your role can be very much to step back, really think about, what is my child supposed to learn? Not necessarily what is every little teeny activity that my child is supposed to do, but what is the material that my child is supposed to learn? And then listen to your child and support them in figuring out how to navigate this, and provide lots of feedback to your teacher, because our teachers have not had to teach in this environment before either, with the exception of the spring, which wasn't really distance learning. It was crisis. So now that we've had some time to really think about it, you have a key role to advocate for and notice what's happening with your child, and then share that feedback with your child's teacher.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And if I'm going to just chime in here a little bit, the control piece of it is more about education empowerment for a parent. You know, being a parent of 3 elementary school age kids, it's about, I feel more empowered now to know exactly what's happening on that day-to-day, exactly like Dr. Richmond laid out. But at the same time, being able to obtain that real-time feedback to give to the teacher, just like you were saying, Allison, those two are critical aspects of the empowerment piece of having over our child's education. So I appreciate you both for answering that question, which is really a good segue into how do we know what some of the best options for our students actually are? Because you both identified that there's a difference between homeschooling, distance learning, remote learning, and OCS. You know, so what's the best option for us?
There are as many answers to that question as there are families.
Yes, Allison, please go first, by all means.
Well, I'm happy to not start, but I will start by, I will say there is not necessarily one best option. I think Dr. Richardson, she started us off earlier by making the clear distinction that the role of, that in remote learning, the role of the parent is to support the teaching that's being done by the teacher. And of course, most families are not in a position to be able to figure out new curriculum and design learning objectives and put together learning activities for their child. And so remote learning is a great option for many people in this moment when sending our children to physical schools in many cases is still not a safe choice. So I think there's a balance. Like always, there's a balance in schooling that has a triangle of the school, the child, and the family. This is the same 3 parts, although we're just in a different context now. So depending on what resources in terms of time and attention a family has, also what the child is able to handle and how much independence a child has on her own or his own in order to intrinsically and independently motivate themselves to get their work done. And then, of course, the resources that are coming directly from your school. So there's not a best answer, but those are the 3 things to be thinking about.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Richmond.
I would echo that, and I would say that really we need to think about what are the needs of your child, and what do you have available. But I also think that one of the things that I hope we all also get out of this is making sure to take note of the things we learn in the process, because we will be I'm hoping that parents will begin to see the conditions and circumstances under which their children are most successful, so that they are able to advocate for them to have those types of situations to improve their performance and just their likelihood of success in school.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with both of you. And it's really about finding that curriculum that really engages your student and your child, because that's the only way they're really going to learn and retain is things that actually engage them. So, hey, just to move our agenda along and move our event along here, I have one last question for you. With the sheer number of solutions out there, what do you personally recommend a parent do to prepare their student for the upcoming school year?
So,
Dr. Richmond, please.
I think one of the most important things is to prepare your child to be comfortable with the technology, to be comfortable with the fact that things are changing, to really pay attention to how they're feeling, because if they're not feeling like they can be successful, that's going to be a strain. If they don't feel heard, or if you notice that your child's not participating, but maybe play some online games with them. When I was a kid a long time ago, we used to play school in the summer. And so, but we did. I know, what a weird thing, but we would play a game called school. And, you know, think about ways to make it fun for your child.
You know, if I have my choice between school and doctor, you know, I'm just gonna, I'll go with school. So, Allison, please.
I would echo especially the notion of really paying attention to how your child is feeling. So I also think it's reasonable to level with your child. And if they're saying that this distance learning is not very fun, to acknowledge that that's how they're feeling and it's not very fun. This is not a best case scenario. So to be honest with your child and try to help them figure out where the parts of the online school are that they can really enjoy and get into. I would also recommend that you help your child stay on a regular schedule. It's very easy for us to let our kids stay up too late or kind of get off schedule because everything is so unusual right now, but really help your kids realize that this is the school year about to start and we have to get back on regular schedule, regular bath times, all that stuff. And then also really making sure that you can find something that your child really loves to do that you can make some time for him or her to do throughout the day or throughout the week. If it's going outside to go for a walk in your neighborhood or to get them out to the whatever, like if you live near the beach or near the park, just to give them some time to do things that they really enjoy on a regular basis, because the loss of their time with their friends is a huge loss. It's a lot bigger than adults realize. Play is the work of children. They figure so many things out when they're playing and interacting with their peers. And to not have that is really disorienting. So to the degree that you can safely help your children find safe places and routines where they can play and work that stuff out is enormous. I think that obviously learning is important and school is important. And at this time, we really need to focus on the emotional strength and resilience of our children as we move through a very unusual period.
Yeah, you laid it out perfectly. Having a TK transitioning into K who misses going to daycare and not having that social and just that connective tissue to stimulate that cognitive learning is it's really a challenge. And so having to beach ball and juggle a lot of things as parents and adults who still have to work, but still need to give your children enough time, that's critical going into the next upcoming school year. And if we are talking about preparing our students for distance learning and going into a new environment, in the interest of full disclosure, I'm a partner in an ed tech called etap.org/adaptive learning, where we actually have curated content for San Diego to allow parents to log on early through a free trial. It's a nonprofit, which is even better, to really have consolidated content to prepare our students for the upcoming school year, because it's built on by grade level. And in addition to that, it adds an assessment piece that you can get real-time feedback and results. So going into the school year for San Diego Unified on August 31st, we can go in knowing where your education gaps are with your student. And so I think utilizing those tools and resources that are available out there, such as etap.org/adaptive learning, little plug there, that people, parents and students will be able to start firing those synapses that they're going to need to go into this next environment. I'd like to thank you both very much for that. As we wrap up our first half of our session, I'd like to give you both an opportunity for a 1-minute close to really talk about who you are and some go forward tips. Thank you. Dr. Richmond, I'll start with you.
Okay, so as Steph mentioned earlier, I'm a candidate for San Diego Unified. I think it's really important right now that we are mindful about electing leaders for schools, because education has presented itself as being one of the critical issues that drive our economy. Beyond that, in terms of recommendations, the biggest one I have is to parents, and that's to go easy on yourself and to not be too hard on yourself as you go through the distance learning process. And it's okay to ask for help. There are a lot of resources available through school districts, as well as the Department of Education, the County Office of Education, as well as a variety of local nonprofits. So you don't have to go through this alone. And this new state of being is only temporary. We will get to the other side and it will be better.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to wrap all that up, Dr. Richmond's absolutely right. The purpose of this forum in this confab is to really give parents and teachers and educators a path forward and the resources that they need so they can stop asking that question, what do I do? Here's a platform with a network of resources available to help you get from A to B. Allison, I'll turn it over to you for a minute. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there are really three things that parents and families really need to be thinking about. And one is absolutely take it easy on yourself and take it easy on your kid. Number two is when you see that your child is struggling with some of the content, figure out what you can do to help support them with it. Maybe it's just reach out to the teacher and get some additional resources, or maybe it is finding additional resources online. And then the third one is to make time for fun and make time for play. And it can be as easy as we're going to bake banana bread because those bananas are rotting on the top, or we're going to go outside for a walk, but make time for play and fun for your child.
Absolutely. And let's not forget, we're all humans. We're all in this together. And the only way we can get together is just through collaborative alliances and being here for one another. So I'd like to thank you both for being here and sharing your words of wisdom. Coming up next after our break, we have Dr. Shirley Peterson, whom I've known now going on 5, 6, 7+ years, just really went into a tough environment and turned it around, was very supportive of the students and put student success forward. And so we're going to take a short break, give you another video of Mr. Jerry Brooks here. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming in. Take a seat.
I am so excited to see you.
As your child's teacher, I want to get an idea of what you're expecting.
I'm expecting them to be back at school.
What are you envisioning for the next school year?
I'm envisioning them back in school.
Yeah, about that.
I can't do the distance learning again. I mean, all the crying and the screaming every single day.
Wait, your kids are crying and screaming every day?
Oh, no. That was me. I was crying and screaming every day. Have you done 7th grade math before? It's super hard.
Our priority is to keep your kids safe.
So you will keep the kids
Safe. We want to keep them safe.
Of course, safety. I mean, I'm no scientist, and yes, these are our current numbers, but what if we...
Why are you turning it upside down?
See? Better.
Actually, it's kind of funny because it's still terrible. Yeah, it'd be ideal if that number was lower because, as teachers, we are concerned with our own health and safety.
Oh, yeah. You probably have your own families you're worried about, too.
So let's say we go back. Are you good with a rotation every 3rd week?
Every who what?
1 week in the class.
What?
And they stay home for 2 weeks.
Every who what?
So mostly at home.
Huh?
1 week class, 2 weeks distance. We're also recommending masks all day.
No problem. Got it covered.
So you think your son, who has a special chair to help channel his fidgeting, is going to keep a mask on all day?
Yeah. Totally.
You don't picture him doing this?
Oh.
Or this? Hey, you want to trade snacks?
I will tell him not to do that. It'll be fine.
So you're going to tell him to do something and you think he's going to do it because you said so.
There is a first time for everything.
And we're going to have you fill out this form every day to confirm your child has no symptoms or fever.
And we're going to have to do this every day before they get on the bus?
Knowing your history of forgetting field trip forms and health forms and participation forms, I'm a little worried.
That is the old Kim. This is pandemic Kim. I'm totally together.
Kim, where's the form? You've lost it already, haven't you?
Paperwork is really hard.
We're going to keep them in the same class. At lunch in the classroom, no switching classes. We need to reduce exposure.
Makes total sense.
And within the class, the kids need to stay 6 feet apart.
No problem.
Are you sure that your son who uses tackling as a form of communication will not touch his friend?
If it means him going back to school, we will make sure he doesn't touch anybody, and his rope, and the mask, and then the form is right here, and he's good to go.
That's not going to work.
This is going to be great. This is going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
In the event we need to continue distance learning.
In the
event we need to continue distance learning.
Nope, I don't need that negativity in my life. Power positive thinking.
I'm more of a realist.
If we do this distance learning thing again, I'm going to need yes.
More.
Perfect. You got it. Perfect. Cheers.
It's cute how you think you're the only one who doesn't like this.
It's a funny story. We have to be quiet about this. It's like our kids. If they heard us talking about some of the things we just talked about.
Here's the thing, parents. No matter what your school comes up with, you're going to sell it with the excitement of like an NFL cheerleader, okay? If they say, hey, it's 1 week off, 2 weeks, yay! And you're gonna be excited about it because our kids are watching us. I am very concerned for our community and our health and safety of our teachers and the school as system as a whole. This is my level of concern. It is high, okay? We're very concerned. We also want our kids to go back to school. So we want the book.
Safety, sanity.
We're going to take all the recommendations and then we're going to make a decision as parents what is best for our family. But we're really hoping we figure out a good plan to go back to school. And whatever the plan is, we're going to be excited about it. We're going to talk about how great it is.
Can you see the rage behind her smile? It's awesome.
Anyway, thanks for watching. What is your school district proposing right now? Everybody's doing the best they can, and we love the people that are working so hard for us. So,
My name is Adria Fox, the It Girl, and I am super excited. Like, that video reminds me of some things that I did when I was a mother, very, very young mother. And I was like, oh, I'll just tape his mouth shut and he can go to school. So that doesn't work. And so we really have to be mindful in this time of what the right thing is for our children and our families and the safety of the educators too. We have to keep that in mind. So our next guest is someone that I've known my entire life. Her name is Dr. Shirley Peterson. She works for the National Center for Urban School Transformation. And when I wanted to figure this thing out and the best way forward for our family, I immediately sat down with her and asked her for her help. And so she's here to help you today as well and figure out some ways forward and also what you should be asking your schools for so that you can be best assisted during this time. Welcome, Dr. Peterson.
Hello, and thank you, Ms. Fox. It really is a pleasure to be a part of the Got Success for Schools program that you're presenting. And I thank you and your team for this opportunity. Thank you.
Welcome. Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself? For those of you watching here locally, Dr. Peterson, I'm going to give my shout out for her, but she was a principal of Morris, Lincoln, and Patrick Henry High School. So you might recognize her from there. And what are you doing currently?
Currently, I'm working as an executive coach with the National Center for Urban School Transformation. And I know our time is limited, so I won't go into a lot of detail about what we do as an organization, but just know that everything that we do is focused on schools that are achieving excellence and equity for all students. And I invite you to visit our website, NCUST.com, to learn about all of the programs that we have available and resources. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have questions beyond our session today.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. So we're going to get right into this. Can you give one personal, I know you give me a lot of personal advice, but what's the one thing personally that you would say to the parents and caregivers that are listening today?
Well, I have a list, and so that's my purpose for today is to present, I'm thinking of it as a checklist that will enable parents and guardians who are supporting students as they return to school in this distant learning environment, some things that I believe they need to know and to also do. So the first thing is that
let's get into your list then.
All right, thank you. The first thing is you really need to know what the district and your school is planning to ensure that your students are able to receive instruction in this virtual distance learning environment. And to do that, you should have an expectation that they're going to contact you in some way, some fashion, either through email, ideally a phone call, but some very specific communication to you that you will know with a certainty what is going to occur as your students return to school in a virtual environment. The next thing is you need to prepare at home. So I know we were all experiencing distance learning when schools closed down in March, and you've learned some things since then. And so take those things that you've learned and add them into your plan for your student this year, where they're going to sit at home. All right, make sure that they're away from all distractions, that there's a electrical outlet nearby to plug in their device and keep it powered. Make sure that they have headphones or earbuds. That's highly recommended. And so those are some basic things to get the year started for them. The next thing is to ensure they have all the tools and supplies they need. The schools are providing some type of device, whether it's a laptop, a Chromebook, etc. Make sure that your student has one that's operating properly, and that if they need books that are not provided through a virtual electronic form, that those books are picked up so that you know when to go pick them up. And I suggest that you have a calendar. Keep a calendar of day to day, a schedule of what your student needs to do from the moment they're supposed to be in school until the day ends for them. So going on, as I said about the schedule, if your child is in an elementary school, it makes it a lot easier because they usually are in a self-contained setting and they have one teacher. But what if you have a student who's in middle school or high school with multiple teachers? So that presents a challenge to make sure that you and your student knows what the schedule is and to be prepared for the day.
Awesome. These are awesome. I'm taking notes, and I know you're going to share this with everyone. So thank you so much for the time. Keep going. What's the rest of the checklist look like?
So one of the things that I think our first two guests spoke to it is to know about the curriculum and what your students are going to be learning. And also what are the teachers' expectations for the students. So regarding knowing the content, I suggest looking online for the state standards, grade level standards, so you can get some idea of this is what the state says my child should be learning in the 3rd grade or in the 11th grade in U.S. history. And how does that match or not match with what I'm seeing as the instruction is delivered to them each day? How will the teacher grade your students' work? There should be a grading system, a grading plan presented to you, and also make sure that you stay in contact with the teacher. And I know you do this, have been doing it, will be doing it if you have a child just starting school this year, which has to be very stressful. Another thing is to make sure you have given the school a working phone number so that they can contact you. Also, if you want to use email, make sure that your email address is up to date. So daily, one of the things that I hope your child experiences is some type of a daily class meeting or in an advisory, a time where your child can be supported for their social emotional needs. And I know many schools have been addressing this, but as I heard earlier, it really is extremely important in this time that as students are separated from each other, that there's an opportunity for them to meet together and talk about things that are not academic.
Okay.
What
What might that look like? Have any schools been practicing any of these? What might that look like?
So sometimes they call the students to just gather together. They might sit in a circle. Each student is given an opportunity to check in, to talk about how they're feeling. The teacher might start with a question that all students would respond to. Okay. So that's just a rudimentary way that the teacher starts to get to know students, to hear their story, and to ensure that they really are connecting with them on a personal level.
So they could do that like in Zoom breakout sessions or something like that online if it's all digital?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
I'll be looking for that. Thank you.
Great. The other thing is that parents should know that the school is going to provide curriculum and instruction, but there's, I think, two key things that parents and guardians need to do to ensure that their students grow and learn as much as possible. One is reading every day. Depending on the age of your student, the grade level of your student, it could be 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. And this also provides an opportunity for them to learn about things that they're interested in. It can be fiction and nonfiction texts, and the school should be able to help you identify what would be the appropriate books for your student, whatever their reading level is, and go online also. And speaking of going online, math is another critical curricular area, as we know, and there are many, many opportunities to look online for websites. One that comes to mind is the Khan Academy, but there are many others out there, depending again on your student's grade level and the subject that they're needing support in, to use those resources to ensure that your students are accelerating forward with their learning.
This is really dynamic. You've given us a really great checklist, and we will be providing that checklist in the UA360 network page for everyone to download so that you can get access to that. And also, Dr. Peterson, what other, as a community during this time, have you seen any additional resources for parents to connect beyond, staying at home? And are there any other tools like that we could be using?
So one of the things in that vein, I would hope that the school is offering opportunities for parents to come together in meetings. We can still have virtual meetings for parents, professional development for parents, informational sessions that the school can offer for parents. But another thing I highly encourage, and I heard this also earlier, is that don't do it alone. Connect with neighbors, connect with people from your church, connect in as many ways as you can to talk about the challenges that you're facing as your child goes through distance learning and to get support. Another thing is try to have your child as a part of a study group. We know that through research, even going through a doctoral program, people who study together have a lot of very beneficial outcomes.
I agree with that. I've experienced that when I was going through school, getting my degree, my first degree. And so thank you, Dr. Peterson. Again, this is Dr. Peterson. She works for the National Center of Urban School Transformation. And the resources that she's bringing, and the knowledge and wisdom she has, this is just a little tad bit for you. So we're hoping we can get her back on later on as the year goes on to have a deeper discussion and check in with us. Thank you, Dr. Peterson. We're going to be bringing everybody back on to Got School. Welcome back, team and collaborators. Thank you all for coming back on. I want to give each of you an opportunity to say any last words, any events or activities you have coming up. I know that we're all very busy. Education is a passion that we all share, but I also know each of you all do things outside of education. So please share. Steph, we'll start with you.
Thanks for letting me go first, but I will defer to Dr. Peterson. I know we just heard her speak, but I'm always in awe when she's around, so I'll defer to her.
Well, thank you, Steph. There are several things, and I hope if there are educators online that I would want to highlight that our organization is providing. One is an advanced certificate for principals, and also if you are a person who supervises principals, there's an advanced degree certificate program that we will be starting up in October. Again, go to our website for that information. And also other, like I said, a number of other resources that are there that I think are very critical and important in terms of what we have found to be successful in all of the high-performing urban schools that we've researched across the country.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. Dr. Lawana?
Hi, thank you. From the school-related side, I have the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum coming up tomorrow at 4 p.m. I have another candidate forum on the 28th at 6 p.m. It's another League of Women Voters Forum, and a San Diego Unified candidate forum from the San Diego Organizing Project on September 16th. On Saturday the 15th, I'll be indulging in my guilty pleasure, which is Afrofuturism. Every year I do an event called the Afrofuturism Lounge, which usually takes place co-located near San Diego Comic-Con. Its time will be on Zoom, and the theme is Black Futures Matter. One of the things I'd like to highlight for this forum is at noon, we will be speaking about disrupting the school-to-prison pipeline. And information for all of that can be found by going to drlawanarichmond.com.
Whoop, whoop. I'm going to be there. I'm waiting for my t-shirt, and I heard there was a chance to wear a costume.
Yeah, there's going to be cosplay. Trying really hard to capture the in-person feel, so there'll be cosplay. As a nod to sheltering in place, we'll be doing a COVID mask face-off competition, as well as a Zoom background swag showdown. And I
got my
super excited.
So it should be a lot of fun.
Thank you. So we got to have fun. What I wanted to say is that play is an essential part of the educational process, even when you get older. And one of the things I love about working with Urban Alchemy 360, we include play in everything that we do. If it's not fun, we're not doing it, is our motto. So play is important. So thank you for bringing that to the table. Look Dr. Lawana up. She, Richardson up. She has amazing things going on, and I will be there. And Steph, go ahead. I know I can't wait to see what else you have up.
I'll be there at the Afrofuturism Lounge as well, and super excited for that opportunity. From the business side, there's some things that we're going to be able to do for the Black and Brown and minority communities, especially communities of low income and low and medium income. So I'm super excited about being part of that, to share that information. But from the education advocacy side, again, it's all about etap.org/adaptive learning, where every student succeeds. The hybridness of our tech allows for teachers to customize lesson plans to supplement their distance learning and lesson plans that the districts provide them. And again, this is any district. It also allows for school districts to adopt the entire platform and then really use it as not only their LMS, but it can supplement their LMS. But gives parents the opportunity to stay real time, and that real time assessment piece is key. And then when you talk about security and safety of being online and distance learning, it's a closed loop system. So there won't be any Zoom bombs or external hacks or anything of that nature. So that's the beauty of etap.org. It's funny, the Holderness family video that you shared was super funny because they talked about wine, right? Wine being a crux of parents and distance learning. Well, I want to present and then plug Legacy Parenting Survival Brew. It's coffee that works for you. And what this platform, as you can see the Legacy plug in the back, we're all about early childhood learning and development, and really stimulating and creating that intangible bond between parents and new babies from 0 to 5 years old. And so that's our core. But in this distance learning time, really supporting the parents with coffee is something that we felt passionate about here. So again, that's legacyparentingsurvivalbrew.com. And again, I want to just thank everyone for being here. Thank you for allowing me to host the inaugural kickoff and inviting these strategic guests that really set the stage and the platform for a path forward.
Yes, thank you so much, Steph. So you heard it here, resources for your community, resources for your brain, and parents, feel free to write comments in the chat. We'll make sure you get all the resources. We're gonna watch one more video, but my last thing is, I'm a parent, so we're not gonna tell you anything or bring anyone to this platform that isn't interested in your success and your students' success.
Exactly.
I'm so passionate about this. I was thinking about this earlier, and what I wanna leave with you is that community matters. One of the things and essential things that NCUST has found out is that when you create a culture where kids feel that the parents really care about them, they get connected and they learn. And so you have to create this community culture within your home and be that bridge now. I think it's so exciting because for the first time ever, I get to really see into the classroom, like everyone here said, and I was really nervous, but after hearing everyone speak, I'm really excited. So I hope you're feeling that excitement at home. And again, send us a chat, an email, and we'll connect you to these resources. We're gonna watch one last video. Thank you for tuning in to Got School. And let's go. Oh, one last thing. Next Thursday, same bat channel, same bat time. Tune in to Got School. Ooh, it's gonna be all about play and how to homeschool from homeschool experts. So Got School is a forum for distance learning with the resources you need to get back to school, because we got school.
Education is about inspiring one's mind, not just filling their head. And take this from me, because I'm a educated man myself, who only came to this realization after countless nights in the library with a can of Red Bull keeping me awake till dawn and another can in the morn, falling asleep in between piles of books which probably equated to the same amount I had spent on my rent, memorize equation, facts and dates right down to the letter, half of which I'd never remember and half of which I'd forget straight after the exam and before the start of the next semester, asking anyone if they had notes for the last lecture. I often found myself running to class just so I could find a spot on which I could rest my head and fall asleep without making a scene. Ironic, because that's the only time I ever spent in university chasing my dreams. And then after nights with a dead mind, I then find myself in a queue of half-awake student zombies waiting to hand in an assignment. Maybe that's why they called it a deadline. And then after 3 years of mental suppression and frustration, my proud mother didn't even turn up to my graduation. Now, I'm not saying that school is evil and there's nothing to gain, but all I'm saying is understand your motives and reassess your aims, because if you want a job working for someone else, then help yourself. But then that would be a contradiction, because you wouldn't really be helping yourself, you'd be helping somebody else. There's a saying which says, if you don't build your dream, someone else will hire you to help build theirs. Redefine how you view education. Understand its true meaning. Education is not just about regurgitating facts from a book on someone else's opinion on a subject to pass an exam. Look at it. Picasso was educated in creating art. Shakespeare was educated in the art of all that was written. Colonel Harlan Sanders was educated in the art of creating Kentucky Fried Chicken. I once saw David Beckham take a free kick. I watched as the side of his Adidas sponsored boot hit the patent leather of the ball at an angle which caused it to travel towards the skies as though it was destined for the heavens. And then as it reached the peak of its momentum, as though it changed its mind, it switched directions. I watched as the goalkeeper froze, as though reciting to himself the laws of physics, and as though his brain was negotiating with his eyes that it was indeed witnessing the spectacle of the leather swan that was swooping towards it, and then reacting, but only a fraction of a millisecond too late. And before the net of the goal embraced the FIFA-sponsored ball as though it was the prodigal son returning home, and the country that I live in erupted into cheers, I looked at the play and thought, damn, looking at David Beckham, there's more than one way in this world to be an educated man.